Every day on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. and midnight and available for viewing on YouTube. Call to order, Pledge of Allegiance, followed by silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, starting out old business, consideration of previous meeting minutes. Minutes from February 8th, 2022, regular meeting. Any questions or concerns from fellow commissioners?
No.
Okay.
I move that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second.
Okay, starting with Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved. New business, public comment. Items not listed on the agenda or receipt of petitions. Public comment is limited to 2 to 3 minutes, and no action will be taken by the commission on public comment items. Please state your name and address. A sign-up sheet will be provided in the commission chambers for anyone wishing to speak. Fill out the sheet with requested information when you enter the meeting. Did we have any public comment? No. All right. Next up, general items. Acceptance of land for public purposes. 2nd Avenue Estates final plat.
This will be Julie Hurley, the Director of Planning and Community Development.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. As you said, this is a request to accept the land for public purposes for the 2nd Avenue Estates final plat. This is a 3-lot plat. The property is zoned PUD, Planned Unit Development. This is a proposed development for some age-restricted townhomes. The Planning Commission did review this plat at their last meeting and voted unanimously to approve it. I did include the site plan in your packet just for informational purposes to see what's going to be going in there, although that site plan was not subject to Planning Commission review or your review is just sort of to show what's going to be going in there. So again, this is just to accept the land for public purposes, which includes the right-of-way and the associated utility easements. And if you have any questions, I can answer those for you right now.
Did anyone have any questions?
Yeah. No. Is this west of 2nd or is it east of 2nd?
It is on the west side of
Okay.
2nd, yeah.
Okay, and south of Sheridan.
Yeah.
Directly north of the Evergy building.
Yeah, just to the north of the Evergy
Okay.
building.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
No, not right now.
Okay, we just need a motion.
I move we accept the dedication of land for public purposes as part of the final plat for 2nd Avenue Estates.
Second.
Okay, starting with Commissioner Hengela.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion approved. Thank you, Mrs. Hurley. Next up, consider parking lot repair location for 2022 and 2023 pavement management program.
Madam Mayor and Commission, I'll start on this item. We also have our Public Director, Brian Faust, here to answer any questions you may have. A couple years ago, the City Commission elected to add a downtown parking lot to the annual pavement management program. We have identified lots over the last 4 years. And as we move forward for the 2022 program, staff would need the commission to identify the 2022 parking lot. Based on the discussion that we had at the study session to go over pavement management, we narrowed those down to 4 parking lots that were still under consideration. And those are before you tonight to provide some direction to staff on which way we want our design consultants to go as they prepare the bids for the 2022 pavement management program. I have noted that we have in the past selected 2 parking lot for the current year and then the next year, so that's also an option that you have if you'd like to go that way. We don't want to go too far beyond 2 years just because priorities change and conditions of parking lots can deteriorate. So they are before you tonight. Just briefly, City Hall lot on the east side of City Hall, heavily used during work hours. Northwest corner of Delaware and Esplanade, 100 Delaware Street, used by both businesses and the community center. Southwest corner of Cherokee and 2nd Street, which is 201 Cherokee. And then the Leavenworth Public Library parking lot, which is located at 417 Spruce Street, are the ones that are before the governing body tonight for your consideration.
I have a question.
Yes.
The city hall parking lot, the one adjacent to it, the mutual lot there, mutual savings, is that theirs or is that the city's?
That's theirs.
Okay, because it's terrible. But the city's lot, to me, and looking at all of them, because I park there all the time, because I work right there, to me, it seems like the worst one of all of them that I looked at the other day. The library, when the lower part of the lot is not bad, but that upper part of the lot is a lot worse, like patchwork. You have any comments on which one of these you think is the most dire in need of?
From our perspective, we feel the City Hall parking lot is the worst. The one on Delaware, next to the community center, is something that we can do fairly quickly, and the asphalt's in fairly good shape.
Yeah,
So that's probably the least of the four.
yeah, that's kind of what I thought looking at it.
The library itself, it definitely needs some work.
Yeah, I know that ADA accessibility, I know all that's
it's-
starting to crumble.
Truth, all of it. The one on Delaware, that parking lot is designed, I think, horribly. Having to go like a maze, go through it, and so whenever you get ready to do that, is there any way to redo the design of it, or take out some of those barriers in there?
We could sure look at that,
I
yeah.
think you could have a lot more parking in there if you took out all of those in between areas.
The islands, yeah.
Yeah.
The islands, yeah.
Because it can get confusing.
You can kind of see it on the view on the screen, kind of it's a
Yeah.
challenge to get around in there.
Yeah, you have to drive through it. Well, my recommendation would be the very first one to the city hall lot. That would be my recommendation, but you all decide.
I would like the public library, of course, and then the city hall one maybe next year before the anniversary in 2024. Just an idea.
That's when that is? Yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you could do that next year and then this.
I would agree.
library.
Yeah, I would be in favor of the library this year and City Hall next year.
Anybody else?
No, I agree. Yeah.
I'd be in favor of doing it the other way, but if we could do both, we could do both. But if it's done, I mean, I just know the city hall one is worse. I just know it. And it just is, to me, it gets wet, icy, it's got big cracks in it that collect ice, and a lot of people come into City Hall from that direction.
Right.
But anyway,
But
but
I
you
know,
all,
a lot of, a lot of people use the library. And
So we have,
So-
Commissioner
Well, I think
Martin,
we
you
use City
went,
Hall,
you went
too.
library, city hall? Okay.
Yep, library
Library.
and then
Yes, sir.
City Hall. Yeah.
And Commissioner
library, city
Angela?
hall.
Library, City Hall.
Okay, that's the,
I'm outvoted, that's okay, but as
Yep.
long as it's done, as long
Yep.
as City Hall's done, it's within the next 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems
one of the
like
other
a
things I was
consensus.
considering was, okay, if we do it next year, it's that much newer when we celebrate the anniversary of the City Hall.
Depends on when we celebrate it.
Well, yeah,
You know, it's
Well,
2024, so if you're celebrating it before it's done, then.
You gotta do it early in 2024, Brian.
So we'll
Is it
do
in
the-
Well, I mean,
January?
2020.
no, it'd be 2023.
2023 you're
Yeah, so
doing
you're
it.
in good shape.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, 22 and 23, I
See,
see.
yeah,
Our
yeah,
thing is
that's-
24. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go along with that.
Yeah,
So go ahead, if you could provide a motion, then we'll be set on. I think
Okay.
we have a consensus.
got consensus, and I guess you just need a motion.
Yep. Madam Mayor, I move to consider the parking lot repair location for 2022 and 2023 pavement management program with the library first priority and City Hall second. Yeah, second.
Okay, starting with Commissioner Hinkle.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed. Okay, next up, Resolution B 2308, Annual Report for Stormwater 2021.
Be Brian Faust.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. The item this evening is to adopt a resolution approving the annual KDHE report for 2021 stormwater activities. The draft report was reviewed by the Commission on February 8th and has been available on the city's website for anyone interested. We did receive one email regarding stormwater issues, not necessarily the report, and then that's attached to your packet. The city is required to submit an annual report on stormwater activities every year, and the report summarizes actions the city has taken the previous year to protect and enhance our stormwater quality. In addition to what you have, there's a considerable amount of additional information in the appendix that we send. The report is due February 28th, and is recommend the city commission adopt a resolution this evening supporting the final report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So with that email that we received, is that eventually on the list to be?
Actually, the staff has already looked at that one last year.
Oh, okay.
And there's a situation where we do have a lot of stormwater that doesn't get quite to an inlet. And so one of the streets we plan on doing in 2022 is Violet from 10th to 15th. And this is at 13th. And so we were planning on correcting that situation this year.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, that's great. Did anyone have any questions or concerns?
No, went good.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the annual KDHE report for 2021 stormwater activities.
Second.
Okay, begin voting with Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion approved. Bids, contracts, and agreements. Consider Mow bids for Parks Department.
Item will be Brian Bailey, our park superintendent.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners.
I was thinking, I know, I was looking down here, I was like,
That's
where's he at?
Tonight I bring before you the Parks Mowing contract. A little background on this, the City of Leavenworth Parks Department utilizes a contracting mowing to assist the mowing and responsibilities of the Parks Department. We use this contract to mow small areas of the city, such as right-of-ways, various parks, and intersections. In 2018, Superior Lawn was the low bid on this contract and performed this work within this low bid from the time of the contract to the end of 2021. The contract expired at the end of 2021 season. Superior Lawn chose to not extend the contract for their second year of their extension. With that in mind, a bid proposal package was developed and administered and advertised for bids. The new contract is for 3 years. We'll have the option to extend for a 2-year period with the option of a 6% price increase of the renewal for the 2-year extension agreement with both parties. This contract is broken down into 2 separate groups. The groups can be awarded to a single contractor or split between 2 contractors based on the bids received with a maximum number of 26 mow cycles for a season. On February 2nd, bids were open and we received bids as followed. We received 4 bids, Supreme Green Landworks out of Bonner Springs at $95,810. Affordable Lawn Care and Cemeteries out of Leavenworth at $122,850. Joey's Lawn Pro, Leavenworth, Kansas, $175,032. Allen's Landscaping, Kansas City, Kansas, $182,437.84. Staff recommends the low bid of Supreme Green LLC in the amount of $95,810 per season for the next 3 seasons. The budget impact of this is there is $52,867 allocated in the parks budget for lawn and landscaping services, and there are significant reserves in the recreation fund to cover the additional cost of the contract. Do you have any questions?
Yes.
Let me make a couple notes on the cost and the contract. So when the previous contractor won the contract in 2018, if we went back and looked at the bid tabs, and they were really low. They were significantly below everybody else. A lot of times you come in low and you get the contract. It's evident by their not wanting to renew that they came in too low. And so what we did, probably incorrectly, was keep the line item the same based off that 2018 line item number. And so although we had that under contract, now here 4 years later, with price increases, without increasing that line item, we find ourselves a little bit behind the 8 ball as far as this. We'll reflect these changes in upcoming budgets, but that's the reality of where we are now. The city's, although it's small areas, it's about 75 acres.
Correct.
And so it is labor intensive. There's a lot of small locations. There's a lot of mobility changes. We require a certain amount of equipment, so we require an equipment list. We require, we go out and inspect all of the work afterwards. So there's quite a bit of administrative oversight and a lot of stuff that these lawn companies have to go through. So we do believe that the bids reflect the current environment and that the overage on the budget is just our lack of following through with the proper funding for this item. So there are sufficient reserves, but we will need to make these changes reflective over the next couple years for the mowing and the parks contract.
So in what you're saying here too with the cycles is 26 cycles is estimated, but if you have a really dry year and you,
Correct, it may
Do
only be
less.
21 cycles.
so that could
Yes.
fluctuate year by year, that's
And
not
it usually
set in
does.
stone.
26 is the maximum number of cycles, and
Okay.
that's to prepare for a rainy spring with lots of sun and
Yeah.
good growing conditions. A lot of times when the summer comes, we will skip cycles, and we'll try to do that since we are significantly over budget item.
Okay.
Really try to draw back. We have also talked about, can we take some of this off and do it internally? This is 75 acres. Our limited staff does 175 acres. So we do
Yeah.
all of that, and so there really isn't much of an opportunity for us to pick up anything that's on this contract with our internal forces.
Sounds good.
Anyone else have any?
No.
Okay, then I just need a motion.
I move that we accept the low bid of Supreme Green Landworks LLC in an amount not to exceed $95,810 per season for the next 3 seasons.
Second.
Begin voting with Commissioner Hengula.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you.
Okay, consider bids for Riverfront Community Center cooling tower replacement.
Be Steve Grant, the Director of Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Paul. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. This is an item to review the bids to replace the big cooling towers, the big air conditioning units for the Riverfront Community Center that are back there in the back parking lot. It's a little bit of background on those. Those units were installed in 2001, so it puts them right at about 21 years old. In 2009, they had I'll call it tune-up, where they had a lot of some piping replaced. Some of the variable speed drives, fan motors, pulley kits and things like that. So that was in 2009. Other than that, it's just regular upkeep with pumps and wiring and things like that. Until here, the last few years, we've run up against a lot of rust coming through the galvanized metal on the housing and especially on the basin underneath where a lot of the water is held. So it became very evident that we needed to put a bid package together to get the units in their entirety replaced. It would be cost prohibitive to try and maybe do another tune-up. So with that, I put together a set of bid specs and we posted it at all the normal media sites. Also went to Drexel Technologies, which we like to use on big projects like that and get a lot of good response with that. We had really good response on this. I had a mandatory pre-bid meeting. I had 13 signatures at my mandatory pre-bid meeting, and then came in with 7 really good, competitive, complete bids. I was really happy with that. That pre-bid meeting was held February 4th, and we opened bids on Wednesday, February 16th. I won't read all 7 of those to you. They're pretty lengthy. They're pretty competitive from high end all the way down to low end. The low bid was from the Helm Group Incorporated. Home Group Incorporated, I just have not worked with them personally, so I did some checking with them, and some of their references. They're a very large company out of Freeport, Illinois. They've been in business since 1946. Just recently, they opened a branch in the Kansas City Metro in Lenexa. They opened that in 2020, so they're getting their feet wet here in the Kansas
Trying to
City
get
Metro.
business, yeah.
All the references that I talked with, the Truman Medical Center and some others were here local. Everything came back glowing on that, so I was really happy with that. I feel real comfortable with that, with recommending their bid tonight from the Helm Group in the amount of $128,670. We have $126,000 in the CIP in 2022 for this project. The balance of $2,670 over that budgeted amount, that can be accommodated from anticipated CIP overages. As you all know, we've been talking about some of the bids coming in high. So that can be covered with those. So with that, I'll try and answer. I'm not an HVAC expert, but I have learned a lot through this process, and I'll try and answer any questions you might have.
Your engineering estimate is quite high compared to what the bids that came in, most of them. Most
It
of them
is,
were
and-
under 200,000.
I think that's a direct result of estimating the unknown in this environment
Okay.
that we're in.
Inflation and.
Yeah, and you'll see the one from D'Agostino is not too far under that.
Right.
It's just so much unknown, and I know that they'd had, we had I believe the HVAC unit for the top of this City Hall come in earlier this year extremely high, and
Okay,
so I think
Okay.
that was a lot of estimate on that, yes.
okay.
And I think it just speaks to the power of a public bid like that. I mean, you've got a huge swing. Steve saw, anyway, no, I think that's good, so.
Yeah, I think we really benefited from the competitive bid process in this. There was a lot of interest. Week and a half leading up to when the bids were being opened, I had people in the back parking lot taking measurements, a lot of phone calls, asking questions, stuff. So it was really good, and all 7 of the bids were complete, and I was real happy with that.
That's
Yeah,
good.
we had 2 of
It's
them
not
right here in
common.
Leavenworth, which I wish we could accommodate, but this is quite a bit lower than either of them.
Right, they didn't fall within the preferred vendor
Right.
percentage.
No, that's great that there was so much interest, for sure. Did anyone else have any questions? Okay, just need a motion then.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the bid from Home Group Incorporated in the amount of $128,670.
Second.
Okay, begin voting with Commissioner Hengela.
Aye.
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 Aye,
Okay,
Thank you.
motion passed.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, consider bids for Cody Park Stream Improvement City Project, 2021-972.
We are a Public Works team taking this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The item this evening is to consider bids for Cody Park stream improvements. During a routine stream inspection, the sanitary sewer paralleling the creek at Cody Park, staff found that the concrete encased sewer line had been exposed due to erosion of the bank. And you can see on the picture there, it's kind of in the upper left-hand corner, there's a red dashed line around, that's the sewer line. Coming out of a manhole, we actually have an encased pipe, which is encased in concrete. But over time, the stream has eroded back further to the west and exposed the rest of the main. And so if you were to look there, you'll see concrete, and all of a sudden, you'll see the sewer main, the pipe laying there. So it's important that we protect that. And so that kind of what started the project is a need to protect the sanitary sewer line. And then, but when we're out there, one of the things that we noticed, and Brian with Parks and Steve with Parks brought up the fact that we were starting to erode the bank close to the shelter house. And so if you're out there, you'll actually see a pretty steep drop off fairly close to the shelter house. And so being out there working on the sanitary sewer, it made sense to go ahead and address that situation also. I think Mike can talk to the plans.
Yeah, we've gonna address the sewer up in the northwest corner of the park. That's where the sewer line, right before you get to the culvert that goes under limit. We'll stabilize that. Then we'll move down and do some regrading and riprap to stabilize the bank next to the shelter house. In doing that, then our design engineer was Napier Engineering, and they put in some rock checks that will control the water flow, so when it high flows, it'll slow the water down and it hopefully won't erode as bad. That's what we've done in other places. And then since we're there, you gotta have a stopping point somewhere, but there's also some erosion down by the walk bridge that we're gonna address and get some riprap around it to protect it so it doesn't get any worse. So hope to do that in March, 30 calendar days, and be done and ready for summer park department.
As Mike mentioned, Napier Engineering did the design for the project. We did list it with the Leavenworth Times as well as Drexel Technologies, and we opened bids last Wednesday, I believe it was, on February 15th. We received 3 bids for the project, with low bid being Lina Weaver Construction at $65,450. The engineer's estimate was $63,150. Basically a difference of 4%. The commission generally does award contract to the low bidder if the bid is less than the engineer's estimate. In this case, it was 4% over, but we don't feel that it would serve any benefit to go ahead and rebid the project. And so tonight, we request the city commission accept the low bid from Lina Weaver Construction in the amount of $65,450 for the Cody Park stream improvements, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any
No
questions?
questions?
No, sounds good.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, just need a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd move to approve the, and accept a low bid received from Lina Weaver Construction in the amount of $65,450 for the Cody Park stream improvements.
Second.
Begin voting with Commissioner Hengela.
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, first consideration ordinance. First consideration of general obligation bond ordinance.
Madam Mayor and Commission, this is yet the next step in issuing our bonds for our 2022 pavement management program. This was the general obligation bonds issuance of $1.45 million in aggregate principal amount. The bond note sale will be on Tuesday, March 8th at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, and then our financial advisor, Greg Vardenberg, will be here that night to read the results of the bond issuance. So the ordinance before you tonight is to place an ordinance on first consideration for us to move forward with the issuance of the general obligation bonds.
Okay, any questions?
Nope.
No, just need a consensus.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Consensus. Okay, we come to the consent agenda. Commissioner Martin.
Madam Mayor, move to approve the claims for February 5th, 2022 through February 18th, 2022 in the amount of $174,699.48, and then amount for payroll number 03, effective February 11th, 2022 in the amount of $329,720.57, placed on file in the check.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, begin voting. Commissioner Hengler.
Aye.
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 Okay.
We did good till that last one, didn't we?
I know, no, it's okay. It's like, hold on. Okay, so the meeting has come to an end, but let's go around and see, Mr. Kramer, did you have any items to bring up?
Yeah, a couple things. So last Thursday, we had a significant snowstorm in the city of Leavenworth. About 6.5 inches is what we had. Just to put in perspective, the city has 160 center line miles. So if you go down the middle of a road, not counting how many lanes are on the road, and city forces and contractors pushed 6.5 inches of snow off that. That's the equivalent of pushing 6.5 inches of snow off a roadway between Leavenworth and Columbia, Missouri. City has 335 lane miles, so if you take to a 4-lane road and you push 6.5 inches of snow, that's the equivalent in about 48 hours of pushing snow between Leavenworth and Oklahoma City. So to give you an idea of just the quantity of roads out there, we did on this snowstorm call on our contractors to help in the residential streets. We do that when it makes sense, if we try to get people back to work on Friday on a work day, if the snow was falling at the rate that it did and the amount that it did. So they did a wonderful job. Our forces go in and help out in the residential once they're done with the collector and arterial. And if you ever wonder why we start with those, it's really a public safety. So our police, our fire, our ambulances can get around if they need to, get to our hospitals, get to those places. So thank the men and women of the Leavenworth Public Works Department, the Parks Department, for all the work they did, and of course our contracting partners who helped us in the residential streets. And the only other note is that we, at the City Commission study session last week, we talked about a solid waste refuse committee, task force. So of course we were off yesterday with the holiday, but today we are finalizing the application for that. So we'll put that out on the city's website, city's social media, press release out for that. I've already had one or two people inquire about the possibility. So I don't know what kind of feedback we'll get. We'll just kind of see the number. So my guess is we'll want to give people a chance to see it. So we'll put it out for a couple weeks and see what we get, and then I'll let the commission. I'll send you the link to it. So if you have anybody who's expressed interest to you, please let me know who that may be, and we'll get that process started. So I wanted to give you an update on that. We'll get that out this week.
Thank you. Commissioner Engler, do you have anything?
Yeah, the only thing I have is that I was really kind of disappointed that we had to approve bids, at least 3 of them, without ever being able to give the business to somebody who operates here in Leavenworth. And I don't know if that's a result of inflation specifically in Leavenworth because of just like rents. Rents are all real high, but it was kind of a shame that we weren't able to give that business to somebody here in Leavenworth.
Well, and then you gotta consider sometimes, people locally already have other projects, so they tend not to bid, cause they might like to do that too, but they might have something else going on and a project at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Or they bid, sometimes people bid high cause they really don't want it. I mean, that happens too. Well, I've heard that before, cause they're like, well, we'll make a bid, but we'll bid over other people because they have too much work going on. So, yeah, I get it. Commissioner Wilson?
Yes, I just want to honor and recognize the youth in our community just for their hard work. With that being stated, give a special shout out to our 2-time national champions, the Leavenworth Raiders. I've been in communication with First Sergeant at the high school, and they are looking for the city commission to approve a welcome sign as they enter into Leavenworth at Ray Miller Park. So with that also being stated, for the commissioners who don't understand the process, Paul, could you please provide us with some insights on how the process?
Yeah, so the commission has adopted a process by which you go through to, if you'd like, a recognition sign. So it's an application process. There are criteria. Of course, a national championship, we've done that for state championships and stuff like that. So it is a process, and it is something that's approved by the commission. One thing that we'll probably talk about in goal setting again this year is we do have a proliferation of signs, and so we've talked in years past about trying to consolidate that, either on one board or moving it to a collected area. So that's independent of the Raiders' request. So they just have to have a community sponsor fill out that application for them, and then it'll come before the commission. But then I will make sure to put a note to discuss that when we get to goal setting about maybe cleaning up that area, as we has quite a slew of signs.
No, yeah, they're all great, but you're driving by and you're trying to.
Well, they're all different sizes and shapes, and they're all spread out. And
Right.
It would just be nice to have a big, beautiful.
Let's recognize our youth.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
Commissioner Bowder, did you have anything?
Yes, I've had a lot of questions about our buses that haven't come yet. In fact, I was at the Human Services Council meeting today, and that was brought up. While I was on Zoom, somebody else brought it up at the meeting, saying, well, I don't know if there's anything that's gonna happen with these buses, but we need to do something. And anyway, they're still there. I just talked to the ATA the other day. They're still not here yet. They still are lacking in chips, apparently, is what they're saying. And we're not the only ones. I mean, Kansas City's been ordering their own buses too, and they've been delayed as well. So we're not the only ones. But speaking of the we will get them, and we are, we would like to have, I would like to have an advisory committee, look at how this rollout of that is going to be and what our rules and regulations are for that, and work with the guidance center because they'll be housed there. And just look at what our goals for the city in having a transit system will be. With that said, tomorrow is my last day at the Kansas City Area Transit Authority, and thank you to the county commission for appointing me 6 years ago. And it has really been my honor to serve on that. And I think I put something on Facebook the other day, a big, huge project going on in Greater Kansas City with the Kansas City Area Transit Authority, and all of the leaders in the community, and it will affect us all. It'll affect all of our counties, not just Kansas City, Kansas City, Missouri. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Great job, Commissioner Bowder.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything like that to offer, but super cold out, stay warm. 70s are coming back next week.
Okay, I do have something. Okay, we're getting ready to end Black History Month, and I wanted to read this. The Leavenworth first black mayor, Benjamin Day. Benjamin Day, lifelong educator, was elected to serve the city of Leavenworth as a commissioner in 1971. He was selected as the town's first African-American mayor 1 year later in 1972. Mr. Benjamin Day served 31 years in the Leavenworth school system as teacher and principal. The Ben Day Elementary School and the Ben Day Women's Center at St. John Hospital are named in honor of Mr. Day. Mr. Day served on the city council and was elected in 1972 to be the first black mayor of Leavenworth, serving 3 consecutive terms. A school building was named in his honor on 3rd Avenue. It was turned into loft apartments in 2015. So just wanted to celebrate former Mayor Benjamin Day.
Yay.
Yay.
He's a wonderful man. I knew him, and he was the principal of our school, so
Okay.
amazing.
And that's all I have, so I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry. Second. Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Boy, we're ready to get out of here tonight.
We
aren't
was
we?
almost there, y'all. We're gonna get it next time.